Wait till Glenn's done sipping. It's most likely a chug jug. That's pure vodka he's chugging right now.
Damn straight.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 39 of 2024. I'm Chris Louie, and I ate a year's supply of Chick-fil-A this week.
Not
With me?
mooncakes?
Not mooncakes, Chick-fil-A. With me, I have my co-host, the hot dad who hasn't eaten fast food in over a year.
So what's up with the Chick-fil-A in a year? I don't understand. What made you eat Chick-fil-A? An entire
know,
year's
right?
supply. And what is a year's supply?
Yeah, what does that look like? Is it because you only go once a year, so you had 6 nuggets? What's up with that?
No, we had a party at our house, and we catered Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A does catering orders, so we ordered a whole bunch of sandwiches. There's like a giant tray of nuggets and waffle fries, and we had the whole spread.
Not bad. Now, I'm trying to remember. I think I did eat some fast food recently. And I remember what I had, but I was in pain. I felt like I ate just a fistful of jalapenos, and I was just dead all weekend long. About anything spicy at all. But I was just like, I was in pain, man.
That's you and gluten in general, right? You have a bad problem with gluten.
Yeah.
Ever since you've been on that
My
carnivore
manliness
diet.
will not allow me to say I have a gluten allergy, but something whack happened, and I was just like destroying the toilet.
Well, he did have Five Guys. When he came up here to visit me, he had Five Guys, but just the patties.
Yeah, that's true.
5 Guys is
Again-
crazy expensive.
Bro, especially when you're eating just carnivore. It was like a $70 meal for one person.
It's true. We actually had Five Guys recently, and since I use the app, we order the same thing every time from the same store. And in the app, you can actually see historically how much it costs us. I think it started at like $68, and then $72, and then $78. Now it's like $80-something for a family of 4. Exact same order because we order the same thing every time. But that just shows the power of inflation, I guess.
There's no such thing as inflation. The economy's great. What are you talking
It's
about?
transitory, completely transitory inflation.
Yeah, it's because they don't like you.
It's true. And we have Glenn Medina, or should we call him Car Restoration Glenn, or CRG. Even in retirement, you'll have a car without any electronics.
That's right. I'm going to have at least 3 cars that will pass an EMP. So that's the good news. Just being able to get gas for them, I guess, is going to be the other problem.
There has to be some electronics in those cars.
No, it's all points.
Spark plug.
Yeah, spark plug. But they're nothing that's got a digital board that can be affected by an EMP.
Would a battery be affected by an EMP or no?
No, sir.
Battery, no. Electric starter, maybe?
Yeah, I don't have an electric starter. It's just 12 volts on and off. So
He has the
Dang,
one
look
where
at-
he
Glenn's
has the
so
car.
smart with his cars.
I know. He has to put the hand crank on the front of the engine. He has to hand crank it up every time.
come on,
it gets
guys.
away.
It wasn't that long ago until that it was a basically a points only car. So basically 1976 or 77 and below, and then they started coming out with computers for them. It's electronic fuel injection. That's what started the whole computer thing.
Yeah.
I remember
Old-
seeing
old
badges
school
on
car
cars. EFI. 24 valve. North Star engine. EFI. You remember
It's
that?
a Cadillac. Yeah, it's
Is
a
it? Yeah.
Cadillac. Yeah. EFI, electronic fuel injection.
Yeah.
That means it's got a computer. Something's got
Maybe
to
it wasn't
manage.
24. Maybe it was a 32 valve. You can't
It
really
could have been.
remember.
Yeah, because it had 8 cylinders. So
4 valves per cylinder.
Times 4.
Yeah.
That's
6.
like $1 million. I'm not good at
Yeah.
math.
Yeah. The North Star engine was pretty cool because you could turn off a block of 4. So like it was an 8-cylinder, and you could turn off one side, and it wouldn't, like I said, it wouldn't be firing. So
It
pretty
wouldn't
cool.
be horsepower either.
Yeah. No, well, it's meant
Just
for
to
the,
save
if
fuel.
it turns it off on the freeway, right? So that way you didn't need that, and then it automatically by the computer would engage the other bank of 4 cylinders. So
I know the Suburban used to do that. It probably still does to be able to pass vehicle.
not anymore. Not anymore.
Mercedes
Yeah.
does too. The S-Class motor, I know, turns off half the
What's
the
that?
cylinders when they're not in use.
Half the bank. Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be.
What bank? Then does it alternate? Does it load balance the sharing is caring here?
Load balance the load across the cylinders.
Yeah, but man, half your engine looks like total shit. Like it's been driven 250,000 miles. The other half looks pristine. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, who knew that Glenn was such a freaking motorhead?
He's a gearhead for sure.
Yeah. It's the real love that I have. It just doesn't pay much. So,
Not yet.
Do you have like a full bib? Like it's got your name on it. It says Glenn. It's like it's kind of gray, got pinstripes on it.
Kiss the mechanic.
Changing the oil.
No, mechanic. I do have a couple older, what I would call, like they look like a onesie. You know, like what the garage mechanics wear.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I only had that because I worked at the refinery and they were flame retardant overalls, basically, or coveralls.
Oh, we don't say that word anymore, dude.
Flame retardant?
No, flame.
Can't say flame.
You can't say flame? Where did this come from?
I'm just kidding.
It's a joke, Glenn. Right over your
Something
head.
incorrect. It did.
No guest this week, just us hosts. Combined, we have decades of information security experience here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Unless you're driving, then pay attention to the road. Don't relax. Jesus, man. Gosh.
You can be relaxed while driving.
No, you got to be alert. Defensive driving. Can't, I don't want to do stereotypes here again, but once again, you're proving them right.
This week, we're going to talk about cheating spouses again.
Again.
Kaspersky pulling a fast one. For our third topics, hacker are trapping you in the browser, and close with Deech's topic of the week.
Oh, God. This will be a very quick topic.
Mystery topic? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so he has the entire topic number 4. I yield the floor to him.
Ooh. Someone's slacking.
For our first topic, this is not a new type of threat, but yet another reminder that you should not trust QR codes you see out in public. We have a pair of stories here, both funny enough from the UK, that the rise of malicious QR codes. The first scam has a flyer that's been seen all over the UK, and it says, if your name is Emily, your boyfriend cheated on you last night. Scan here for the video proof. Now, I don't know statistically how many Emilys there are in the UK, or if people will just scan the QR code because they're curious and will watch the video, but sure enough, people are scanning the code and getting phished or hacked by this site.
If you're dumb enough to scan that, you should be owned.
People are just, they love drama. They love it. Yeah.
Especially British drama.
I wonder if they're statistically, like, Emily's probably the most common name. So even if you're not an Emily there, you're like, oh, well, I know an Emily. Maybe I need maybe I should click on this and do my due diligence. Maybe some dude's like, well, Emily, I hate her boyfriend. I'm going to watch this video and I'm going to slide into those DMs.
Figure out if it's their friend Emily's boyfriend.
Should we ask what's the most commonly used name in Britain?
Sure.
It's probably something like Conor McGregor. He's not even from Great Britain. It's Catherine.
Yeah.
Donkey.
Donkey. Yeah, it has all the hallmarks of the typical phishing scam. Some kind of sense of urgency, some kind of I'm on the inside, you're on the outside, scan me to get on the inside. And it's just too enticing for people not to scan. And thankfully, they said, well, maybe it's fortunate, unfortunately, the QR code right now, it's one of those work from home scam type jobs, or college people looking for work over the summer scams. But it could be much worse. It could be stealing your banking details, installing malware on your device. But they just use this particular threat vector to offer you these work at home scam jobs.
We think like how successful are those QRs? Like, so let's say you have like 1 million scans. How many people actually are dumb enough to fall for the phishing attempt or whatever it is? Like, click here and sign in with your Microsoft Online account before you watch a video. How many people are actually dumb enough? I think it's like less than 1%.
That's all you need, though, right?
Yeah. Statistically, it's a numbers game. So less, 1% of 1 million is 1,000, 10,000.
You got an active person to go click, and then you got a high rate of click to begin with, and then it's that sub 1% or 1%. that actually attempts to log in to a OneDrive account to go see the video.
Chances are that person doesn't have any money. They're barely making it through life if they're falling victim to this.
Yeah, maybe, but they can still have all their personal data stolen.
What's in your OneDrive? Well, never mind. We got to stay out of yours. My OneDrive is empty.
Could you imagine?
I know.
On that same thread that Brian was talking about, it's like, hey, I've got no money. Go ahead and take my identity. My identity owes $500,000, and I'm in $500,000 in debt anyway.
Enjoy the student loan debt, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Could you pay it off? Yeah.
I feel so sorry for you.
Since I mentioned there were 2 stories, the other story is also from the UK, and they're having problems with these things like pay to park signs that you just park somewhere, you scan the code, you pay your meter or congestion charge or whatever you have to pay. And that one actually is scamming people because this one's a little bit more clever. They put the fake sticker QR code over the legitimate QR code, you scan it, and it actually looks like the pay by phone website, and you plug in your details, your address, your credit card information, and then they'll take you to a page that says, oh, your payment received. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm good to park here for now. And then you come back and you get a ticket and say, WTF, I paid, why am I getting a ticket? And then you have to pay the ticket, and then you also have your credit card number stolen too.
See, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I'd say let's do this at Black Hat next year, or DEF CON. We'll come up with PEBCAK, follow me stickers, and it's a QR code. It says, since you were dumb enough to click on this, why don't you donate before you subscribe? And then we'll raise some money that way.
How about an even better one where you go to a restaurant, you slap your QR code down, you mimic the restaurant's menu, they order on your site, you go in and put the order in, right? And then you add extra money at the tip time. And you scrape that tip.
I think you just talked about Grubhub.
Yeah.
That's Grubhub's whole model. Whole model right there.
Right?
Just getting in the middle there. Just
getting in the middle.
Taking a cut.
That would be funny if you're sitting at a restaurant and Grubhub shows up and delivers your food while you're sitting there from that same restaurant.
Isn't this like the whole reason why this is probably so popular? It probably happened, was it last year's Super Bowl where this had a QR code bouncing around the screen?
It wasn't last year. I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it was Coinbase if I remember correctly. It bounced around the screen just like that old DVD screensaver, and I think it was just a QR code.
I wonder how, so let's think of Apple. For the longest time, you couldn't scan that QR code, and then eventually they put it in there.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're just I wonder if the argument there was for a long time. It's like, no, this could be used for malicious intent. They're like, nah, man, it was on the Super Bowl. It's cool.
Yeah, right.
Some people are forced to it, right?
Yeah,
Even
even with things like being able to, because Apple will show you the URL before you visit it after you scan it, but people just use link shorteners, they use forwarders, so that's almost a useless security feature because most sophisticated actors will know to use a link shortener or use a forwarder.
The only good utility for a QR code is going to someone's house and you have to jump on their Wi-Fi. Boom. That is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one, so you don't have to share the password. You just scan it.
That is installed a root cert as well, so that way you can go do SSL decryption on
TLS inspector session.
Spoiler, when it's on an iPhone, is this going to be a really crappy user experience?
Yeah. Only browser traffic, basically. But that's the moral of the story. You can't trust these QR codes. They said one possible mitigation, visit the website directly. Don't rely on the QR code. It's a lot more hassle because you have to go to the website. Then you have to find the parking space number or the parking section you're in. But it's the only real surefire way, or just verify that the URL is correct. Because a lot of these phishing websites will have weird top-level domains. They'll have .site or .top or .biz instead of the usual .com or .co.uk.
The dot, everything after the dot is getting to be a little out of control now. I think I saw someone was dot services the other day. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Those domains are getting wildly inappropriate. By the way, how come I can't just have a dot Brian Deach and just get rich? Brian Deach.
I think there's this happened to that that cup that I don't know if they're French. It might be French. Mont Blanc, that company that makes
dot
nice
PEBCAK.
pens. that really nice watches. They had a .Mont Blanc top level domain. They said it wasn't gaining any traction. It was a dumb marketing stunt, and they had to pay ICANN like $100,000 a year to maintain that top level domain or something. So there's a fee. You can add your own TLD, but there's a fee associated with that.
That's
well, you just charge that out though, right? You just charge out that to the subscribers of the top level domain.
Yeah, but no one else wants a .Mont Blanc.
Yeah,
TLD. It's like one company that can use it.
Because
that's like printing money.
Yeah, .security is a pretty big one right now. Like all these security companies are
buying up all the .securities. .sucks is another one. .fail is another one.
All I know is ICANN is taking advantage. If it costs $100,000 to host that domain, if memory serves correct, to do my own internal domain I can probably convince my wife to figure out how to do it, right? Like it's not that like ChatGPT could probably figure out the commands to make it, my own little authoritative DNS internally, and probably in like 5 commands or less, like running on a Raspberry Pi. So ICANN's coming over here, charging $100K, and I think all they really have is like 13 root servers that are distributed globally, right? Like this is BS, man.
I think it might be a deterrent too, so there's not too many of these dumb top level domains, that there's a high barrier to entry for it.
Yeah, but high barrier or not, would-be thieves are willing to pay that also, right?
So what would your domain be, Brian? If you could get .BrianDeach as a top level domain, what would you make the host name part of it?
Oh god, .BrianDeach.
I love
DMT.
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 DMT.BrianDeach.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do BrianDeach because like it's kind of hard for some people to spell. So
yeah.
Cloud drug dealer. Cloud god. That'd be a good one.
BrianDeach.Cloud god.
Yeah, something like Cloud god is greater than Dr. Zero Trust. If that's even a real thing.
Yeah.
Glenn's not entertained.
All right, for our second topic, we all knew it was coming, but a little heads up would have been appreciated. This month, we're still in September, marks the end of U.S. sales in support of Kaspersky software here in the U.S. Ultra AV is a company that has acquired almost 1 million Kaspersky users and will begin migrating users over. And when they say begin migrating users over, this week Kaspersky deleted itself off endpoints in the US and installed Ultra AV on them without any warning whatsoever. Many former Kaspersky customers were worried that their device got infected with malware since they were not told in advance that their AV would be replaced. To make things worse, while some users could uninstall Ultra AV using the software's built-in uninstaller, those who tried removing it using uninstalled apps saw it reinstalled after a reboot, causing further concerns that this is definitely malware and it keeps reinstalling itself.
Well, I think you get what's coming to you if you're running Kaspersky. So have at it, have fun. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Those enterprise customers? Is that what we're hearing?
I think these are I think these are consumer. Because I think Kaspersky was banned in enterprise for a while. I think it's probably just home users.
I have never heard of anyone using Kaspersky on the enterprise side.
Maybe New York. What do you think? I've never heard of it either.
They used to be more popular until the whole Russia thing happened, but I've seen it here and there.
I knew a couple corporations back in the day that used them, but they switched what was that, like 7 years ago? 8 years ago?
Everyone I talk to is like in this order. It's always CrowdStrike, Defender, maybe Sentinel-1, and then, like that's like a less than a 1%, and then other, and other is usually like some crappy thing like Cisco AMP or Palo Alto Traps. I think
Cyber Reason.
I don't think anyone uses Symantec.
WSS.
Endpoint Defender.
Yeah, or McAfee. So
I've heard of
Symantec.
You know what? Actually, I do
Trellix,
remember
right?
one McAfee.
McAfee.
Did they rebranded, right, to Trellix now? It's no longer McAfee.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's the product Tredex, because they bought. So they bought the.
I think
what was
Trellix is FireEye, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a combination of FireEye and McAfee.
The McAfee. Yeah, because I know McAfee split enterprise and consumer, and you can never just keep track. I think McAfee stayed on the consumer side and something else on the enterprise side now.
Yeah. Did they split as well? Because I knew Symantec had done that. Norton Antivirus and Symantec Endpoint Protection did the split.
Yeah. So McAfee, when they divested from Intel, I think they split the enterprise and the personal business. And then same with FireEye. Mandiant went to Google, and then the legacy FireEye became. I thought it was Trellix.
Yeah. Fun times. Just tells you how fast technology moves, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think Zone Alarm missed out on a great opportunity to come back.
We looked that up. They think they were acquired by Checkpoint. I think
you're right, yeah.
Zone Alarm product still exists, but they're just owned by Checkpoint now.
Do you guys remember? Oh, I bet you Glenn remembers this. Do you remember K9?
Oh, why do you? Yes. I know K9.
Dude, that was amazing. So, like,
it's a cool product.
It was a cool product. The favorite part was it would bark. Even if the speakers are muted and you got blocked, it would bark to let you know that your kids are doing something wrong.
my oldest mentioned that on the podcast. I don't know if you remember that bit. So she said she hated me for having that dog bark on the computer.
I don't think I put two and two together. I think I completely forgot about that.
About K9. Yeah.
Yeah, that was K9.
And it was free for commercial or for end users, right? They were just sourcing data, probably selling it.
Yeah.
To the Kremlin.
Well, no, they fed that. It was a URL. It's back then when URL categorization was really a big thing, and I thought Blue Coat URL categorization was probably on par, really good. Nothing could compete against it, and like I said, it's gone by the way of the dodo bird these days.
Yep.
Do you know where they used to do the categorization at? What state in the United States was the most popular?
To do
Utah.
what? Yeah.
I was asking Glenn. Okay,
I mean,
why
not Utah?
Yeah, why Utah?
Because they're big on pornography.
No.
The LDS Church is headquartered there.
And what specifically about the LDS Church makes them a great resource for URL categorization?
It had something to do with their international travel. They have people that speak lots. The church itself knows lots of languages based on its members, I think, is the
ding,
reason.
ding, ding. You get it. Yeah. It's the return missionaries. They've put people all out in the world. So they become fluent when they're on their, I think, 6-month or year mission. So it was a great resource to have people translate what they're seeing online.
Whatever that's still the case.
Now it's replaced by AI.
AI.
Oh,
yeah.
this is Ukraine language. I don't even know, what do they speak of? Ukrainian?
Ukrainian.
Oh. What does that sound like?
Yeah, like Russian. So there was I knew the person that did the URL categorization for Blue Coat back in the day. I'll have to go look up his name, but he had classified it to like 55 languages or something like that. And one of the languages that they had done as well that's not part of your common language set was what's that Star Trek
Klingon
language? Klingon. So they actually had identified that as a
language,
as a language type. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah,
Klingon or Vulcan or High Valerian. That was the one from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So,
well, I wonder how many of these former Kaspersky customers going to stick with Ultra AV after they pulled a stunt like this.
there was a other one, right? Like free AVG Grisoff. Do you remember that one?
AVG and
one.
Avast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's free AV. They had the safe browser, I think. They said block people from tracking you, and then they turned around and collected all your data and sold to advertisers without your consent. So it's like, yeah, it's safe from other people, not safe from us.
Yeah. Hey, it's kind of like buyer beware, right? If it's free, what do you always say? If it's free, you are the product.
Yeah, if the product is free, you are the product. Exactly.
Yeah. So That's a great statement, Chris.
Yeah.
So
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Google, Gmail. You think Gmail's free because Google is UNICEF and they want to do charity work? It's like, no, they give you the free Google tier to mine your data, so they can see what I bought, when I bought, what my hobbies are, and then that way they can sell me more targeted ads.
I forgot. Was there a setting that you could have that prevented, or is that part of the agreement of using the free Gmail account?
That's the trade-off. You cannot turn it off. If you pay them for G Suite, not the corporate kind of G Suite, but personal G Suite, like $5 a month or something, then they say they don't scan your inbox and there's no ads. But that's to pay for the privilege of them not data mining you.
Yeah. I went out and got all the kids, the whole family, like an Outlook.com account, right? Because that's not mined, or that shouldn't be mined. So,
well, if you pay for it, no. But if you don't pay for it, then yes.
I pay for it. Definitely pay for it.
Yeah. Then they shouldn't be data mining you, and it should be pretty privacy centric, more secure.
Yeah.
All right, for our third topic, threat actors are abusing the kiosk mode in most browsers to phish users into giving up their account credentials. Kiosk mode is a special configuration used in web browser or apps to run in full screen mode without the standard user interface elements like toolbars, address bars, or the navigation buttons like your forward, backward, stop. You can try it now. If you're on a computer, just hit F11 on your keyboard. It's designed to limit user interaction to specific functions, making it ideal for public kiosks, demo terminals, and the like. In this attack, kiosk mode is abused to restrict user actions and limit them to the login page, which the only apparent choice being to enter your account credentials. Specifically, the malware locks the user's browsers on Google's login page with no obvious way to close the window, and the malware also blocks the escape and F11 keyboard keys. The goal is to frustrate the user enough that they enter and save their Google credentials to the browser to, quote, unlock the computer.
That is nuts.
Gotta hand it to them, though. Like we always say, phishing is just gonna get worse. It's never gonna get better. And this is yet another way that they can lock you in your own browser until you give up your credentials.
That's why you need an enterprise browser.
Enterprise browser doesn't have kiosk mode?
It's got kiosk mode, but it also will prevent the malware from being used in a way that could use that, I think. I'll have to go double check that. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, it's not clear exactly, because I see this in two ways. One is you save it to browser, and then there's info sealers that can steal it out of the browser saved passwords feature, and then there's just redirecting a user to a Google phishing page. So it looks like you're signing into Google, but it's not Google, and you can't see the address bar because you're in kiosk mode, and then that's how they just steal your credentials that way too.
So I guess if you look at this, and I'll probably have to go read the article after, but do they start in a way that they make the browser start in a way that opens in kiosk mode? So that's the only thing you do, and then they have malware installed in the computer that prevents you from escaping or pressing F11. So I mean, it sounds like your computer got owned also at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think it was clear on that either. If it's malware that's installed on your device, or if it's some kind of JavaScript that can actually lock you out of using certain keys on the keyboard. Because I know that there's JavaScript that can like disable right click for some websites. They think disabling right click or disabling highlighting is somewhat more secure, that you can't just copy a section of the article and paste it, even though you just go to view source and get the text that way. But
yeah, there
might be some kind of JavaScript that they have on the page that blocks these specific keys from being pressed.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, if you're sitting on one of these kiosk machines to begin with, you'd probably never know, right? If that machine, and you were inserting because you were in kiosk mode to begin with, like for instance, check into a hotel, or check out, or get your room key created or whatnot. You've seen those, right? In Vegas.
Yeah, even like a restaurant or something, if you want to order off an iPad, they always put it in either kiosk mode or guided access.
Kiosk mode. Yeah. But yeah, I'm always leery about that, right? I mean, this goes to story number 1, Chris, where we talked about inserting your credentials. Like if I'm sitting at a store and it's asking me to insert my credentials to Microsoft, like why would I ever do that? Like you've got to be able to associate the two and have some type of like, you know, like some type of radar on that says, hey, I think I'm being hacked. You've got to have some suspicions up on that.
Yeah, it's all that user awareness training.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think we probably don't apply that more towards the consumer segment than anything else, right? It's always business. We're always getting trained on that, phishing attempts and stuff like that, but we never really see that for the consumer side. The people that don't do this every day, right?
Yeah, I know CISA was trying to. There's a big push to enforce all the stuff we've learned on the corporate side. Always use MFA. Don't click on random links. Don't open attachments. If someone calls from the IRS and says yo back taxes, it's fake. Like they've trained us really well on the corporate side. Now CISA is trying to apply it to the consumer side. So I think they actually ran TV commercials that say, if you have an online bank account, make sure to turn on multi-factor authentication or multi-step verification. And there's some effort to try to educate the public on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because the other day, I think I sent you guys a text, right? It's like, hey, check this out. Someone got my phone number and they're wanting me to communicate with them on WhatsApp. And then in WhatsApp, they send me a picture of themselves. And I'm like, okay, great. So I do an IM check or an image check.
Reverse
in that
image
person's
search.
Yeah, the reverse image. Yeah, reverse image search. And I send the image back and I say, hey, you're my twin. What's going on? Why do we look like each other?
That was actually really funny, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
Did they stop replying after that?
No, they kept coming back, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I need to get back to work. I'm having so much fun with this, right? But I gotta do work eventually.
Yeah, Glenn's trying to scam the scammer.
Yeah.
I've kind of given up on that scam the scammer because I almost feel like it's not even a person at this point. This is an automated process. So no matter how hard I try to screw at them, they're not really falling for it.
Well, what is that, Chris, that you had done, right? It's there's two things you could do. You could type a whole bunch of stuff if it's China based.
Yeah. Get them banned.
And then the other side of it is, what was the other side? If it's AI or if it's somebody that's inside of they showed it. It was it's a person.
Ignore all previous prompts, and then you give it some instruction.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be cool, right?
Yeah. The China block is the funny one because they'll send you a message in Chinese, or even if it's not, and you just send this big chunk of text, and it's got all the banned words in China, like Tiananmen Square and Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution and Winnie the Pooh. It's got all these words that if a Chinese person in China was caught with this, they'd be in a lot of trouble. So then they just
why Winnie the Pooh is bad? I don't understand that.
The joke is the current president of China, Xi Jinping. If you look at him and you look at a picture of Winnie the Pooh, like they look a lot alike. So a lot of the Chinese people are saying, "Oh, our leader looks like Winnie the Pooh," and then he didn't like that, so they got banned. And anyone who compared him to Winnie the Pooh mysteriously disappeared. So Winnie the Pooh is
Could you
banned
imagine
in
that?
China right now.
This is what makes the U.S. so great, right? That we can troll governors and presidential candidates, and it's still okay. We're not going to have the Secret Service come up and try and kidnap us or take us out of our houses. Not yet, anyways. So
unless you're in California and you make AI memes, then that is actually a crime now.
Yeah, that guy's an idiot. Well, that has to stop. I mean, could you imagine getting caught for that, and that goes all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they kind of just laugh at it.
Yeah.
The my gosh, there's so not that I'm for or against anyone in this particular election, but some of the names that are coming up for Kamala Harris, pretty hilarious. Like, have you guys seen any of them?
I've seen some of them. They're not probably repeatable on the podcast, though.
This one, I mean, the one of I think it was Hyena Harris because she's got that laugh.
That cackle,
I was like, oh, the cackle. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty funny. So
yeah.
And then
Chameleon
Kamala or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, man, they're just people are savages out there.
Yeah, Like I won't go into politics now. I'll just stay out of this.
Yeah, going back
Look
to
at
the
you,
story,
ear to ear.
this something similar I would say happened, and this was 10 plus years ago or so, and a friend of the family caught one of those extortionware fake AV scams, and they took him to a webpage and says, "Oh, your computer's infected. You can't go to any other websites. Pay us to disinfect your computer." And it was true. I tried to go to like google.com or msn.com, and it just said page not found. Then I was thinking like, how deep in the network stack are these guys? And I just checked the internet options. At the time it was IE, and apparently they had a PAK file on the computer that only allowed traffic out to the payment gateway, and that was it. And like, presumably when you pay this extortion fee, they just remove the PAK file and like, hey, you're disinfected now.
That's a lazy hacker.
There's a little bit more to it. It's like, so if you removed it, then the malware would just re-add it back on there.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I just unchecked the PAK file, deleted the PAK file, and everything was fine. They weren't that sophisticated.
Yeah.
And again, just trying to trap you until they get your credit card info. And then even then, the other part, actually going back to story number 1 and related to this story, is sometimes you go to the fake payment page, you enter all your credit card details, and then they'll return a message that says, "Oh, payment denied, try another credit card." So you pull out another credit card, you try, and it says, "Oh, denied, try another credit card." So then they can just keep giving you that message, and they just keep getting more and more of your credit card data just because you think it's been declined and you try a new card.
It'd be funny if you just go into like a stolen credit card database and you just keep using those credit cards.
Yeah. I'm sure if you even just give them junk data, it might not even do a LUN check, and they'll say, "Yeah, this is a legit credit card number, 1111111."
Yeah. Yeah.
So having a CrowdStrike, there's all zeros in that file. Pass the check.
All right, for our last topic, and it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week we're going to talk about ZITRO.
ZITRO, man.
ZITRO.
Get it. ZITRO.
Some
Brian,
kind of drink that you're taking. What's going on?
Apparently he asked me to add this to the show for this as a topic this week. We were having a good laugh about Sharky from last week, so take it away, Brian. What is ZITRO?
Actually, let me ask you guys, what do you think ZITRO is?
Yeah, I'm with Glenn. Sounds like an energy drink.
What's going on?
Any guesses, Glenn? Just this
medication?
ZITRO?
Name of a drug?
No.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do some housekeeping. So number one, Chris had texted me. He's like, "You're the reason why people get bullied and there's problems in high school." And I had to emphasize here that Sharky was like a 55-year-old man that was always trying to run over little high school kids.
In his
Who was the one? There was a movie about it. Was that an Adam Sandler movie where he had to go face the people that beat him up, and there were kids that are still there, still picking on
Billy Madison?
Yeah,
I think it was Billy Madison. Yeah, because he had to go through all the grades again, right? And then at the very end, Adam Sandler apologized to a guy that he bullied, and then he came at the end and saved him.
Yeah.
Oh, what a feel-good story. Okay, ZITRO. So there's this dude in Globe, Arizona, and he's like this little cholo dude. And I don't think cholo is like a derogatory term. It's just like a kind of a Hispanic Mexican looking gangster. And he was dressed exactly the way you would think. He'd have his Chucks on, like kind of a tan pants, usually a wife beater, which is like the white t-shirt
like
type of thing.
Yeah.
Tank top, yeah, and like sometimes he'd have a shirt on top of it with only the top button buttoned, and he was kind of known, like you couldn't say he was homeless, but you never saw him in a home, right? He was just always kind of walking around, and he had his doggers on. You know what doggers are?
No, what?
No,
we're going all over the place here.
The dark sunglasses, right? He's just dogging people out, right? And he'd always have like a 40 or something like this, and like he was an older gentleman. And he always have a bandana on his head, and the bandana would come all the way down his eyebrows, blue bandana all the time. So maybe he was a Crip. I have no idea. I don't think those things even existed. But his name was ZITRO. And couldn't figure out why his name was ZITRO. And then one day, talking to him, I'm like, that's kind of an unusual name, right? And again, I'm in high school at this point, so I don't really care. And I'm like, why is it ZITRO? And then he pulls up his bandana, and on his forehead is the word ZITRO tattooed across his forehead.
That's why he wore the bandana.
Well, because he got really, really drunk. He wanted to have someone tattoo his last name on his forehead backwards so he could see it in the mirror. But it wasn't done like that. So
backwards alphabet.
His last name was Ortiz. Yeah. So it was.
Oh.
And so, and he was very embarrassed by it. So his name was ZITRO. So he was like, ZITRO! We'd just be driving around saying, ZITRO! And he'd throw up like a W. It was like, what's up? And
he embraced it. Not like Sharky when he just got really angry.
Yeah. I think he was too drunk to really even care. But he was a cool dude. I think he passed away a couple of years ago. Because I went back into town. I was driving around. I was like, where's ZITRO at? And then I think my brother was like, ah, man, he died. So we drove to the corner liquor store and poured out a 40 for our fallen hero.
Yeah.
Good
old ZITRO.
So that's ZITRO.
Paid
Ortiz.
homage, yeah.
And I don't even know what his real name was, but he was an older guy. But
Well, his last name was Ortiz, right? So
Ortiz, yeah.
I know.
And he had
How many
Chuck.
of those
You guess
could
what
there be in Globe?
Yeah. Well, everyone was like Ortiz. Yeah. Martinez. Like, yeah, it was everywhere. What do you guys think? So, what are Chucks? You guys know what Chucks are, right?
The Chuck Taylor
Converse.
shoes.
Yeah, Converse.
Yeah. So he looked exactly like the Lowrider logo. Like, have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
Like,
Were they white Chucks or were they colored Chucks?
Always white Chucks. But
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't like, I wouldn't say he was well to put together. They were kind of dingy white, but he was doing his thing. Wasn't a guy that I would say I feared at all. Like, he's just kind of a pudgy looking dude, but all beer belly, and rest was just kind of there. But whatever. Anyways, now you know ZITRO. Another little story.
So it was. So what did it look like in the mirror then? It looked like Ortiz in a mirror, basically.
No, it didn't look like anything. It was ZITRO backwards, but it wasn't written backwards. So it was in.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they're like, I think the story was he's like, I wanted to be able to see Ortiz in the mirror backwards, but he just wrote it in ZITRO. He just wrote it backwards, not the inverse, not the mirror.
The mirror image, though.
Yeah.
Because the mirror image would just show it the same, right? It's when you look in the rear view mirror that it's reversed, right?
Well, anything in a mirror is always.
It just have to be reversed. Yeah. I mean, it would. You flip it vertically. Yeah, flip it vertically, and then
on the y-axis.
On the y-axis, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what should have been tattooed on his forehead, but this person,
by the way,
reversed the order of the letters instead.
His forehead. Remember, he's always outside drinking, and so he was a dark-skinned Hispanic fellow, but his forehead was whiter than mine. Like, it was.
Because the bandana
on.
The bandana was, it was there,
it was a permanent fixture.
Yeah, permanent fixture. So now you guys know.
Now you know a bit about ZITRO. Yeah. And to clarify, my comment to Brian was when he told the story, he didn't make it clear that Sharky was a 50-year-old man. So I thought this was like a fellow student. And I said,
a fellow student with enough money to buy an F-250 Ford.
I don't know. Parents could have money. Yeah, never know.
We're not from the Bay Area. We're from white trash, Globe, Arizona.
Yeah, he was either a successful miner or a successful meth dealer. Possible, right? Not unheard of. And I was making the comment that says, hey, Brian, it was people like you that bullied other people and made them not like other people. You know that, right? And then he's like, well, this guy was like a 50-year-old man. I was like, oh, that's even worse. There were a bunch of kids picking on an old dude.
His name was Sharky. What was I supposed to do? I told you that in first grade I used to actually bring a rifle to school, right? Like, that was common.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that was that unusual. Like, was it one of those hunting season started and you went right after school?
It wasn't even hunting season. We just go out and kill rabbits for fun. So
yeah.
22?
Yeah, it's a little 22 rifle. Yep.
Just take it to school?
Yeah. Can you imagine doing that now? I'd be like, oh, we got a school shooter. I'm like, no, man, we're gonna go kill Chris's pet rabbit.
No, now it's illegal at the federal level, so you'll be in federal trouble if that were to happen.
Not anymore. I don't have to worry about it. Those days are long gone.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? It's like they used to teach safety, or your parents were responsible for teaching you safety, and now that's kind of all outdoor. Like, I don't think kids know how to cross the street these days if their parents aren't teaching them. how to behave culturally, whatever, right? So
my older kids, they've all like, you know, by the time we got into a vehicle, they knew like where we were going, and I was teaching them how to drive, right? And so my daughter that just turned, she's like 15 and a half, we're driving, and I'm like, all right, you're gonna go to school. But she's like, all right, well, tell me where to turn. I'm like, oh, it's kind of weird. And so then the other day we were coming back, and I'm like, hey, I was like, just, you know, take any path you want to get home. And she's like, okay. So we get off the major exit, and she's like, do I turn here? I'm like 3 miles away from the major cross street from where we live. What do you mean you turn here? And I'm like, and then I just realized like she spent her entire life in a vehicle either staring at a book or a phone. Yeah. So she's never paid attention to anything.
Stared outside and looked at landmarks or any idea of what street to turn where. And it's either that or it's the GPS generation. Like I remember printing out MapQuest directions and following it turn by turn. If I missed a turn, I'd have to run to a gas station and say, how do I get back to where I was? And nowadays it's just everyone's on nav.
Yeah, but you probably turned the GPS on just to go to the office, and you've been to the office like 1,000 times.
Well, it's nice to know if there's an accident.
Are you guilty of that?
Well, I don't turn it on because I don't know how to get there. I turn that on in case there's a major accident and it detours me.
You don't know how to get around detours? Like you don't know how
I do, but if it's like Freeway 1 or Freeway 2, I'd like to know that before I leave the house.
I gotcha.
I say that, but like I'm calling my daughter out. Like that's getting home, but I will say I've been to a customer's location in downtown Phoenix, I don't know, 15 times. I still don't know how to get there. I always have to put it in to be able to figure out like how to get there. But part of me is, you know, Chris's defense is like I need to know the traffic, you know, maybe I have to steer around. But if I didn't have it, like if you told me, hey Brian, let's go to the basketball game, if I don't have the address to the Suns stadium, I'm like, we're not going to the Suns game. Like I don't like I know that it is massive and you can see it from the freeways, but I don't know how to get there.
You guys are terrible.
Oh my gosh,
terrible.
You guys are terrible.
Bay Area traffic, Glenn, though, like one accident will add an hour to your commute. So if I can avoid that.
I know that, but at least I know how to get around without it.
Well, I know how to get around it too. Right? I just wouldn't know there's an accident unless I put it in the nav.
I guess. But yeah, I'll stay quiet.
Glenn, you'll be proud of me. The other day when I was in Flagstaff, I had to go drop a birthday gift off for my wife to one of her friends, and I actually got to the house without any navigation. It was a miracle.
Nice.
You didn't get lost.
Flagstaff's not a very big city either.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, W. All right.
We continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, Glenn's up.
All right. An homage to the swimming species here.
Is it homage or homage? I don't even know.
Homage, whatever.
Homage.
Two fish are in a tank. One fish turns to the other and says, any idea how to drive this thing?
Wah, wah, wah.
You have to edit this one out. No, it reminded me of this joke where it's like,
that's a great dad joke.
All right, to wrap things up, beware of QR code scams. Kaspersky replaced their AV without telling anyone. Kiosk mode will steal your passwords, and long live ZITRO. That's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to our listeners and subscribers who rated us 5 stars on the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-hosts Brian Deach and Glenn Medina, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. See y'all next week, and as always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Later, losers.